Ohano yo, I'm Hanaryu. I'll be conducting a Intro to Vtuber series, starting with how to create your own Vtuber model, the software required for becoming an intro or a indie Vtuber, and a few other tutorials that I can think of as I think of them. Um, but for the first part of our series, we're going to be starting with Vroid Studio. That's it. So the first thing we're going to do is familiarize ourselves with the free software Vroid Studio, which you can download over on Steam, or I believe you can also download it off of their website as well, Vroid Studio. I'm not sure. I have it personally off of Steam. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. So here we are with Vroid Studio 12.0. That's just the general version that I use. There's multiple versions. You can download different versions off of their site. So you're going to have, it's mostly a slider sort of options here. So you're going to play with a lot of slider, a lot of number values when you're first starting out. Your first tab up here is going to be the face editor. The face editor is where you do the general shape of your face and your texture, and it's also where you input your expressions, which you can have toggled onto softwares like VC Face or Leopard. So the first thing is the design tab, which is the general shape of the face, how it looks, and various sliders on the subject. So you can go over here and you have all, which has all of the sliders that you can adjust here. You can just focus on the eyes over here on the tab here. And eye position up and down. All you have to do is just play around with the sliders until you get the general look that you like. Don't ever be afraid to just play around with it until you find what you personally like for your aesthetic. Some sliders allow you to actually go beyond the thresholds of from 0 to 100. I believe eye position does, so you can put 1.0 or 2, and you can put it all the way up there, which kind of makes it a little wacky, so you want to be a little bit careful with how you adjust the sliders. But just bear in mind that for many sliders, you can go beyond a threshold of 1.0. All you have to do is just type the value in here at the very top corner once it's highlighted. You can get a lot of really wacky and unique looks utilizing that. But most of the sliders are pretty self-explanatory, as you can just play with them and figure out what works best for you. I forget what I even had with settings, but shape of the eyes is very same. You can just play with the sliders, see what each of them do for you, create shapes of your eyes. Just mostly adjust the position of the facial features on the face to create a general shape that you like. I recommend playing with all of them, even inputting values beyond 100 or 1, just so you see how far you can push things. The further you push things, the more unique you are, after all. And from there, you can go to expression, which is a bunch of sliders. You have your different expressions and values that you can input as your, what do you call them? For your actual expression toggles for VC Face and Leopard. So these are my different expressions that I put in. And you can have these set to a hotkey. And these are your general mouth shapes. This is what you look like when you open your mouth, like ah, ee, ooh, eh, and oh. So that's your mouth shape when you make these general shapes when you have basic tracking software. You can always adjust how large you want your mouth or how small it is, pretending if you're like a cute character or a serious character. But it's just... It has the values of eyebrows, and the eyes, the mouth. Yeah, it's eyebrows, eyes, and mouth. And that's the general shape for each of them. So whenever you click that hotkey, it'll make this expression. Just to have whenever you're generally streaming or whatever in your software. Texture itself is just the look of your skin and texture of the body. So when you go to the eyebrows, this is my eyebrows up here, you can change the color by clicking on base color. This is the eyedrop tool, so you can click that and it'll bring your little dropper tool and you can select a color on the screen. Let's make that red. There's two values in Vroid Studio, so you have your base color and your shade color. You can turn shading off, but it's still going to have a bit of a shading with it. It's just something you'll have to play with. But you can just adjust it on the color slider here. But I like usually just making them the same color, just like that. So you never are surprised with how something looks in the shade versus not. Oh, and as well, if you can't find the color that you want by just kind of fiddling around with it up here, you can go to RGB sliders, and you can actually slide the colors as you need to get whatever color that you might be looking for, a particular color. You can also input the code right up here if you know the color code for the exact color that you are looking for. But we'll just put that back to red. I think I had it actually purple, but it's no big deal. This model's already made, so we'll just have it black for now. You're going to have your guide, which is pretty much the little grid pattern you see here. You're going to have the layer. You can have layers. It works similar to any painting software. So whatever is below that layer is going to be below the thing above it. So if I draw on the top layer like this, or we'll just make that yellow. See? But right now my base color is black, so that makes the whole base color that color. So if you actually want to paint on the face and have it be the color you want, you make both of the colors up here white, and then you can just draw on the face as you want, just like that. We're just doodling on my face, it's no problem. So whatever layer is at the topmost is going to work like any paint software or Photoshop software, etc. I'm just going to remove that layer. And we still have our base eyebrows here that are white, so that I can just change them over here to make it easier. There we go. On the right side, you're going to have your actual brush properties. So this is how big you make your brush, what color you want, what tools you want, and the shape of the brush. This is the airbrush tool. I like using that for softer colors. I like using this, I don't even know what to call it, but it's like a little grainy, gentle brush. I use this for blending typically, and then I use the top one for solid colors. And you can do the size mapping versus UV or world. I don't know what either of those mean. I never use anything besides UV. And you can have just the width. That just looks funny. You can adjust the width or how opaque it is. See how we can see through it there with it being more opaque? And you can adjust the general opacity of the layer itself, the entire layer, right here under layer properties. So you can kind of make it transparent or do whatever you like there. So I recommend just playing around with it, seeing what works as usual. You can adjust soft light, linear light, just how the layer looks. I usually just keep it on normal, but some of the more creative folks might be able to do something more with that. You have your select tool over here. That's generally how you're going to navigate through Vroid Studio. You have your brush tool, which puts it onto the brush, so you can start painting. But usually select tool does the same. But it depends, because you can use select to just move around as well. So right click generally pans your model. The pressing in the wheel kind of allows you to move the model around. Holding Alt allows you to do the color drop tool, and letting go of Alt takes that away. This is the eraser tool. It's pretty self-explanatory, and the blur tool. So just little helpful things. So each layer, each little tab is the inside or the general area that you're going to be drawing on as far as the blend shape or the key shapes go. This is just the inside of your mouth, so we'll go to default image. Those are your teeth, this is your tongue, and this is the general mouth and the inside of the mouth up there. And you can obviously play around with any of the textures that you see fit. The guide is just, oh, I forgot. You can right click and toggle visibility to get rid of the guide if you want. You can duplicate things, right click, duplicate, remove. We'll get into importing and exporting things later for the next tutorial. You can also easily rename layers too, just to make things a little bit easier on yourself. But this is just the general navigating and getting a feel for Vroid Studio and how it works. The eye highlights are these right here that you see on the eyes. You can actually hide them or not. A lot of people just draw them right on the eye. We'll toggle the visibility off. I meant the default image. Oops. There we go. And you can see that my highlights are gone now. So there we are. The Celeron is going to be the color of the whites of the eyes. You can change that to any color as you like. Always make sure to click the layer and default image that you're on to change the tab. And you can see it on this side, that what you're drawing on. General rule is you can click the middle bar to kind of adjust what you're looking at there. And make it bigger or make it smaller. Just so. So versus what you're painting on versus what you're looking at, I can make my eye red, just like that, you know, for like the demon folk out there. But I generally keep mine white. Face skin is literally everything on the face, like the forehead here, the little blush, the scales that I have here, and your ears. And like eye makeup and eyeshadow. So you can see this horrifying display here. But as horrifying as it is, you have to keep in mind it is on a 3D mapped area. So as you draw, you can just draw on it and just figure things out as you go. These are your ears. These are the undersides of the ears. This is the underside of the chin and neck area, the mouth and the nose. And it's pretty simple to figure out. Coloring in between the eye doesn't really do much. That's going to be your Celeron tool. And then you can go to eyelashes, which my eyelashes are actually pretty hidden right now. But you see that little pinkish area right there? Let me turn the width down a little bit. Let me turn the width up a little bit. There we go. The pinkish area there are my actual eyelashes, which I usually like to have as a different color, just to add a little bit of depth and personality, generally. But you can change the color of those as well. And you can even change the shape of them on the default image or base image here. So you can kind of add, like, eyelashes. Generally, you kind of want the tips of them to be a little bit transparent. So you can just select the eraser tool, go with the opacity, and kind of lower it. Maybe a little bit lower. Like, but yeah, kind of just make the tips just like that. Just, you know, a little bit transparent. So that's easier to see your big ol' eyes. But we're just going to undo all of that for now. Another useful tool is right here at the top. You're going to see the little triangles. That's your mirror tool. So when it's dark like that, that's your mirroring. So when you draw on one side, you're going to be drawing on the other. I'd like to be drawing on the other, please. All right, I'm drawing on the other. So that's your mirror tool. Just like that. Haha. And then last but not least is your eye line. That's going to be like the black right here, the general shape above and below your eye. And it's nice to have them kind of be white so you can change the color of the eye as you see fit. So that's it white, which looks very, very striking, very pretty. You can easily import eye lines for general eye shapes. That gives your personality, or your eyes a little bit of personality, rather. You can find those on Booth, and I'll teach you more about that in a different tutorial video for importing objects from Booth to Vroid Studio. And it's the same idea. If you want to add a layer to any layer, you click this plus button, and you can always just remove it. Remove. And that forces the down arrow forces the selected layer up or down. Just like that. And that's the face editor. We're not going to be getting too much into hair right now. Unfortunately, that's going to be its own separate video. Body editor is just sliders. You can change the general, length and width of your body as you see fit. So you can kind of make them really, really tiny. Oh my god, he's a baby. So you can change your proportions for your model as you see fit. You can adjust each one. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. Your body texture is going to be the actual skin of your body. We'll go to default image here. So you're going to see this here. These are your arms. And this is like your shoulder area and your arms. These are both of the legs. Right there. This is the torso area and the back. This is kind of like the spine area. These are the feet. This is the top of the head. These are your fingers here. And this is your hands right there. So as you play around a little bit, figure out the software, you can do a lot of things with figuring out what you want to do with your body, whether it be airbrushing on abs or figuring out your skin tone or anything else like that. You can actually change the entire base color up here. It's not usually something I recommend because you lose a lot of control doing that. So keeping it white and having like a shade be white as well and just have your own shading adds a lot more personality to your model. Clothing is the same basic idea. We'll be covering clothes in a different video altogether. But for the most part, you can choose a design. There's different models of clothes that you can kind of use, different styles. And different shapes of clothes that allow you different places to draw on for your texture. So you can go over into the texture tab, and it'll bring you to your actual, as soon as it wants to change over here, to the actual texture of the clothes. For example, let's go on the top here. This is the top right there of the sleeves. This is the spine area on the back, as you can see. And you can change the texture of your shoes down here. So just go over the shoe tab, just like that. For right now, Vroid doesn't really have a lot of accessory options. They just have the uniform tie and the uniform ribbon, which you can also just change the texture of, just to find a general shade that you like most, or colors, or anything else. You'll just have to draw right on top of them in the texture. The shoes can be a little bit wonky over here in the shoe tab. Your toe shot, your toe shape changes how your foot lays on the shoe. but I need angled so that my feet fit into the shoe itself. You can change the sole height like so, and the general style and texture of the shoe that you're going to be using. Sometimes it doesn't keep the name of it once you change to a specific shoe, so you'll just have to be clicking around a little bit blindly until you find the shoe style that you're looking for. It'll change the names. It's just kind of a butt like that. It's just something you gotta deal with, unfortunately. But we're going to go to one piece edited. That's my shoes. Then you're going to general editor, which gives you a lot of interesting little tidbits, like how thick you want your outline on your face or your hair, and the body. With hair, you have the options of changing the general outline as well, too. You can also have the Vroid rim light. You can strengthen it on the hair. See how it adds a little bit of shine like that? Makes you all shiny. And you can have it on the body. But it's very much a telltale sign of Vroid Studio. A lot of Vroids have that light on them that kind of takes away the quality of the model, if you ask me. It's not, you know, a great thing. But it can work for some people if you can change the color of your rim light. So don't be afraid to use it if that style works for you and if you like it. You can change the shade, your shade width, and how harsh the shade is. Just how it kind of interacts with your model and body. But for the most part, I draw on my own shade, so it doesn't exactly work for me too well. Eye excursion is just adjusting where you're looking usually, while your default. I don't really play with it more often. I don't know what I've done. But we'll just pretend like I totally did that on purpose. Spring bone, for females, the body will sort of be the booba bounce. You know, increasing it adds a lot more bounce to the booba. While clothing will change, you know, how much your clothing kind of wobbles and shakes around and moves. Sometimes it looks like jello if you're not too careful. And that is your first pre-tutorial for most of Vroid Studio. You're going to go to Camera Exporter, where you have, you know, where you can take pictures of your model when you want to. You can change the background here. Oh, that's really bright. You can change the background color as you want. You can kind of add a little green screen if you need to. You can change the facial expression with the sliders here. You can choose which way you want the eyes to be looking. If you unclick look at camera, you can make yourself look around. Just like that. You can take off auto blink. You're going to want to take off auto blink for pictures too, because I've noticed whenever I'm taking pictures, I'm always in the middle of a blink no matter what. So if you're going to be capturing, you just click the capture and you won't be blinking in the middle of your picture. You can change your poses. You can pick male animation or female animation, or you can pose it naturally or manually. And you have these presets that kind of let you get a feel of how it looks in motion. Lighting, you can change what lighting is, what color you want it, where the light's shining from. You can add in wind. You can change the direction of the wind. Sorry about that, that was Discord. But you can just change the general direction, but we're going to put in 0, 0, 0. Post effect. Wow, pretty. I am glowing. I'm absolutely glowing. But you can just add extra little effects. You can just figure out what you like. Just like a picture, just like photo editing. You can change the size of your capture, auto size, HD, and the like right here. Export is when you're finished with your model, so you're going to convert it into a VRM and export it out of Vroid Studio to perhaps put it into a software when you're done, or take into Unity as you see fit. And you can even upload it to Vroid Hub right from here. It's pretty simple process. You just take a picture, you select new character, and it walks you right through it. And that is the bare bones... Oops. There we go. And that is the bare bones introduction to Vroid by your local flower dragon, Hanaryu. I really hope you found this to be informative. If you have any questions about the bare bones of Vroid Studio, let me know. I will be releasing the next video, which will be how to import items from Booth into Vroid Studio, so that you can have a general idea of what to get you started, free things that you can find on Booth, and just get you going onto your VTuber and Vroid modeling journey. Thank you so much, and if you liked what you saw, you know what to do. Have a great day. Sakunara!